Hi everybody, this is Demari. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be doing the Shadow Work Tarot reading for the sign of Sagittarius. Now as you know, last weekend we had a really powerful full moon in the sign of Pisces. So a lot of things were brought to the surface at this time, particularly pertaining to our thoughts and feelings and certain circumstances that may not have been very clear. There would be some aspects that were brought to our awareness. So now is a really good time to do the shadow work in order to process things further, do the healing and move forward. So to begin with, I'm going to be using the Dark Mirror Oracle deck to give us more information as to what it is your shadow self is revealing at this time. Then I'll be using the Wild Unknown Tarot to get more information about the circumstances surrounding that, clarifying with the intuitive as usual. So let's get stuck in then. So what's happening for you right now, Sagittarius? What is it that your shadow self is revealing to you at this time? Okay, so you've got fragmentation. So that's very much in relation to the various aspects of self are kind of not singing from the same hymn sheet right now, okay? There'll be certain things that are not harmonizing within you, okay? So this could be that your mind and your heart and your spirit are saying very different things. And there's conflict there, there's inner conflict. So it's really important that you're aware of how you're feeling and maybe take some time to do some introspection so you can have a look at the various aspects that seem to be clashing within you at this time and creating a sense of chaos rather than inner peace, right? Because that's what is being communicated here, that the multiple aspects of self are discordant, right? It's not harmonizing. There's some kind of blockage or clashing or breakage at this time, so it needs addressing. Okay, and secondly, because they both came out at the same time, because I never pull just one card, okay, when it comes to these Dark Mirror Oracle cards, I always pull two, because there's never just one thing in isolation, right? There's always more going on. So you also got forgetting oneself, okay? Now, this card is very much tapping into the energy of pride, right? And egotism, shallowness, kind of aesthetics and beauty on the surface, right? But kind of really forgetting about the true core of one's nature, okay? What it is that makes you whole and complete. And kind of overlooking those aspects in order to pacify yourself, in order to not have to deal with things that may be calling for a further look, right? A closer look. There may be some aspects about yourself that need healing or that need readdressing because it's causing some conflicts within you with this energy here, or that is creating conflicts between you and others, right? So you're choosing to wear, you see how he's got a half mask on, right? Just one eye's covered. So it's choosing to partially mask your identity, right? It's choosing to mask your true feelings to some extent so that you don't have to go deeper and really bring these things to the surface. You're kind of masking some aspect of yourself right now, so you don't have to address what's going on beneath the surface. Okay. So let's just have a look then what we can find for you through the tarot to try and clarify what exactly is going on here with these energies. Because I feel like obviously there was something at play here that kind of triggered this, or at least is helping you to bring this to your awareness. So let's just see then what's been going on. So I'll have 3 columns here, right? The first column is in relation to the week that you left. Okay, so the previous week. The middle column is in relation to the current week we're in. And then the final column will be the last full week of September, okay? So what you can expect to see energetically and maybe circumstantially over the next week and a half or so. Okay, and we'll just get 2 more. Okay, so let's have a look then. So early last week you had the Devil card, and bearing in mind I will clarify these further, it's just to give you an indication of what this is conveying here, so you know whether or not this is relevant to your circumstances, because of course it is a general read, not everything will apply to you, so just take it or leave it as required. Okay, so the Devil energy here is very much conveying that something is amiss. Okay, there's something that was purposely being ignored, or something that was hidden, right? That there was some level of deception here. It could be self-deception, as I said, because you are wearing a half mask. You're choosing to mask certain things about yourself partially. So it could be very much tied to that energy, that there was something you weren't prepared to reveal at this time, that you were keeping hidden beneath the surface, but we will clarify that. So going into the middle of the week, you had the Father of Wands, which is the King of Wands, and that's, for me, I always feel like that's kind of one step away from like almost Emperor energy. It's similar to that. And yeah, I mean, what's being communicated here, I mean, especially because obviously that's fire energy, that's yours, that's your element, right? This is kind of you when you're in your element. This is you when you're at the top of your game, when you're at your peak, yeah? That you're able to manifest some serious changes, that you have awareness of your power, right? And what it is that you're able to create, to manifest into your reality, right? Using that divine spark that you have. So in some way you were tapping into that. I feel like you were intentionally manifesting something into your life that was not random. There was real intention behind it. So we'll see what that was. And then going into the weekend, so the full moon weekend, you had the Death card, which is not surprising because obviously, you know, big revelations and big transformative energy comes through around the time of the full moon, particularly in Pisces. You know, that's a lot of emotional clearing that's being done, right? And I feel like that's what this is in relation to, that you had some kind of awakening and awareness about some aspect of your emotions, something that you've been keeping hidden, something that you've been trying to block out. You're trying to separate in some ways. I feel like that on a psychological and an emotional level, there was some intentional fragmentation taking place, that you were compartmentalizing various things so you weren't overwhelmed by, you know, your emotions or by the various circumstances that were taking place. So it may be that was brought to your awareness, that you were doing, and you were doing that and you can't do that anymore because it's actually causing a lot of inner conflict and chaos, right? So I feel like that was brought to your awareness over that weekend, so you've had to readdress it in some way. So going to the beginning of this week then, you had the Fool card. So, okay, so you did take that information on board and you chose to accept and to move forward in some way. Maybe you realized that you had to change the way in which you process things, the way you deal with your emotions, or how you interact with people as a result. Whatever it was, just take it however it resonates. You realized that you had to go about things differently. It needed a new approach, right? A fresh start in relation to this specific thing. So that's what you did. You're taking a new approach to whatever this is. And in the middle of the week, you've got the Hanged Man in reverse. So yeah, I mean, you felt like you had no choice but to change how you view things. That you had to come at it from a different angle, a different perspective. Because the alternative is that you continue fragmenting yourself and compartmentalizing, and you do some almost what appears to be irreparable damage, right? That you break up your psyche so much that could lead to some really disastrous mental health impacts, right? So that's where you kind of realize what you were doing, and you realize how dangerous it was. And rather than trying to bury your emotions or bury things from the past, you're choosing to confront them head on, right? You've changed how you perceive this. You've changed how you're willing to go about dealing with these things, right? So that's where you're currently at. So in the latter part of the week, so towards the weekend, you have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think you know that your reality was starting to mirror the chaos that resided within yourself. There was a lot of things happening around you that just seemed unbelievable, that you just couldn't make sense of. And you were just like, why is this happening? Like, why are so many things just going wrong all at once? And like, some of these circumstances are really obscene. Like, I don't understand how this even happens. But I think with this change of perspective, you'll realize that actually it was directly related to how you were perceiving others, your own circumstances, the world around you, and yourself, right? That was literally mirroring the conflict and the fragmentation within yourself, right? That's why your reality was very fragmented and not making sense, because that's what was going on within you, right? But then with that awareness, obviously you can change that, you can work on it, you can do the inner work and healing, and your reality will change as a result, right? It always starts from within. So going into early next week, you have the Nine of Wands in reverse. So again, I think you know you've been running away from challenges. There have probably been people that have been trying to bring certain issues to your awareness, and rather than address them, you've been kind of dismissing it in some ways, just glazing over the issue, because you don't want to have to address it head on. But now you know that there's no alternative, because by continuing to run away from your problems, or by just suppressing your feelings towards things, it's actually going to bring you further away from where you want to be, right? So I think you're becoming more aware that you can't outrun your problems. You have to face them head on. All right, and in the middle of the week, you got the Five of Pentacles in the upright. So this is, I think, your energy overall. You're kind of feeling a bit drained, a bit depleted, feeling like a bit spent, like you poured so much time and energy into keeping this facade going, that it's actually starting to, with this realization and this change of perception and frequency, the cracks are showing on the surface, right? That's what I feel like. And because you're unable to maintain this facade anymore, it's really bringing you down, because you feel like you haven't even got that to fall back on right now. Okay, that you may be getting some backlash from people, or you just don't feel confident in any way, and that's really bothering you. And then at the end of the month, you've got the Hierophant. So there is a powerful message coming in for you towards the end of the month, particularly over that weekend. The universe is going to be communicating with you and showing you what it is that you should be focused on, right? That you need to let go of that energy and walk into a space of really wanting to heal and to do the inner work, and to challenge your toxic thought patterns, behaviours, right? Responses. Challenge those things that are causing this, discord within yourself, so that you can heal them and process, and you can move into a much more positive, highly resonated frequency, right? So that whenever you do find yourself in a circumstance where things seem to get a little bit out of control, or a little bit overwhelming, you're better equipped to deal with it there and then, and you're not just suppressing it, right? But there will be support coming in. You're not going to be alone as you feel, right? There's support coming in, divine assistance is coming in by the end of the month, okay, to help you do that. So as long as you continue down this path of wanting to change, of wanting to address those inner issues, inner conflicts, you will be supported in that, right? Because the universe has always got our back. The universe is always rooting for us, but we have to put the work in and we have to be aligning with the right energy, otherwise it's impossible, okay? So let's have a look then. Let's clarify all of this further. So what was happening with this devil energy? That's what I'm really curious about that, because there was some deception here. I could feel that there was, yeah, I think it's self-deception. There was something you was even hiding from yourself, let alone other people, because you didn't want to have to process it. So you've got the Ten of Wands in reverse and the Page of Pentacles. So it may be that you were trying to live beyond your means, right? That you were so caught up on this persona that you projected, that you were trying to live beyond your means, and you realized that that wasn't working for you, and that actually you were going to put yourself in a very uncomfortable position if you don't start addressing your lifestyle, your extravagant tastes, right? You know, some of the connections you probably made as well with people who have very expensive taste, right? So you've been forced to kind of address that, because you can't keep the facade going anymore, right? Because you're living way beyond your means and your finances are suffering as a result. So you're having to go back and start to really examine, you know, where you're at financially, how much you can budget each month, things like that, okay? You're having to take a very logical approach towards your finances, because you were kind of splurging for a while, I feel. And with this Ten of Wands in reverse, I feel like you just know that there's too many things that have happened in relation to this. You know, you've made connections that are not serving you, that are keeping you locked into this chaotic energy. You've had miscommunication, you've had circumstances seemingly beyond your control just appear out of nowhere, and it's just been a giant mess, right? So you're desperate to just kind of leave these things behind you, but you can't do that until you're very honest with yourself and you address these things head on and understand why it got to this point, right? How that came to be. So, yeah, so middle of the week then, the Father of Wands, the King of Wands. Okay, Three of Cups. So yeah, I feel like you were definitely splurging, you were partying, you were feeling like the life of the soul of the party. It made you feel really good, even though obviously there was a lot of things that were brewing beneath the surface. This still made you feel very broken, and, you know, make you feel like you're filled with inner conflict and chaos, right? Unsettled, unstable, you know, and quite unhappy and lonely in some ways. This celebratory kind of experience that you was having, you know, partying, drinking, going out, this hedonistic kind of environment that you were in was masking all of that, right? It was masking how you truly felt, and it gave you a full sense of pleasure, fulfillment, happiness, right? Because you were connecting with these affluent people, or these people with, you know, a tendency towards the extravagance, right? And you were really embodying that energy at that time yourself. So it made you feel good. It made you feel, you know, full of pride and confident and self-assured, but it was very surface level. It was on a shallow level. It wasn't true confidence, right? It was just a lie, as we can see with that Devil card, right? It was a false sense of security, false sense of confidence. Yeah. And you knew that as well with this this High Priestess in reverse. You knew that you were lying to yourself and those people, right? That you were projecting an image that wasn't true to yourself, right? And you knew that, and your instincts were telling you that this is not the path to take, but you were ignoring them. You were choosing to suppress them, keep them boxed in, right? into a different part of your mind or your spirit, right? So that it doesn't affect your, I don't know, your enjoyment, I guess. Okay. So for this death card then over the weekend, you have the Four of Swords. So yeah, you had to take a step back, you had to reassess. You came to the realization that this was not helping you or serving you, that it was actually adding to the inner chaos rather than giving you any sense of true fulfillment. So you had to take a step back. You had no choice but to take a step back and reassess, right? To come away from all of that energy. And I think you realized that you had a lot of healing to do, right? Yeah. You took a very rational approach to it because you realized that, you know, what you were doing was nonsense, right? To put it in one way. This is the Queen of Swords energy, right? So she's someone who's learned through experience, right? Someone who has gained the knowledge and wisdom through experience, and that's what you did. By having those experiences, it gave you the realization and awareness that that wasn't authentic, right? That wasn't real. So that's why you took a step back over the weekend. Okay, let's clarify the Fool then. So, beginning of this week. Okay, you got the Star card, right? So that's Aquarius energy. So, yeah, I mean, you really, when you took a step back and you reassessed, you realized what it is that truly matters to you, what you care about most, okay? What brings you the highest sense of accomplishment and fulfillment, not you know, shallow, surface level nonsense, right? That just kind of pacifies the ego. What really gives you that sense of fulfillment and happiness and joy, you know, and sparks that divine energy within you. And that's what you've been assessing. That's what you've been doing the last couple of days. You've been assessing what that is. And you have a clearer idea of what it is that you want to go after, right? That's why you've taken steps, right? You've started that journey now. You've taken steps towards it. But there's still something you're not seeing. There's still some decision that needs to be made. Or something you're still choosing not to address at this time. Before you can really start to see some powerful changes, right? There's still something that needs to be communicated or a decision that needs to be made. Okay. We'll see if we can get... that one's come out. You've got the Emperor in reverse. So yeah, it's a case of, I mean, do you want to appear successful, or do you actually want to be successful? Because the way, you know, you wanting to appear may not match up with what it is that would actually make you successful, okay? That would actually give you that abundance, okay? So I think that's the decision that's you're having to make at this time is, is it about appearances? Do you want to appear successful and that you have all these things? Or do you actually want true abundance, okay? And not just, you know, in the way in which people are going to fawn over you temporarily over, okay? True abundance, true fulfillment. Okay. So let's have a look then in regards to the middle of the week where we're at currently with this Hanged Man. Alright, so you got the Knight of Wands in reverse and the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So yeah, you really had to, you know, by changing your perspective and being completely honest with yourself, you realized that you weren't going towards any goal. Like, you wasn't actually driving towards something that would bring you that lifestyle, right? That you were just looking the part. But even that, you can only maintain that facade for so long, right? But you don't even know what it is that you were trying to drive towards, and you didn't know what it truly meant to have fulfillment and abundance in your life. You just saw how it looked on the surface and decided that's what you were going to mimic, right? So this change of perspective has made you really question that. Yeah. Define what it is that's true abundance for you, right? With this Ace of Pentacles here. What does it really look like? Okay, so what about this Nine of Pentacles in reverse for the weekend? Two of Cups. So it may be that you're missing, well, you feel like you're missing more than anything, is a true connection, is a true emotional connection. It doesn't have to be a relationship, it doesn't have to be like on a love interest level, but you're feeling the need for some companionship on some level. I feel like that's what you were not receiving here, you know, last week when you're having these celebrations. Yes, you were going out, you're having a good time, you were making all these connections, and you felt like, you know, the king or queen of your castle, right? Because you were very much at the center of the tension, you know, you were the life and soul of the party. But you knew it was all very shallow. You know, that in your down moments, those people weren't going to be there. That when you just wanted to hang out at home and, you know, eat pizza and watch Netflix or something, you know, they weren't going to be there, right? They only want to be there when there's something to celebrate and when the money's flowing and, you know, everyone can just have a good time, right? Won't be there when, you know, things get real. And you realize that, you know, and that's what you want. You want someone that you can count on, that you can rely on. There's a true friend that will support you when things get rough, and you can do the same. And you can actually talk about things that matter to you most, right? Not just surface level nonsense. Okay. Anything else in relation to this Nine of Pentacles in reverse? Okay, yeah, Six of Swords. So you're moving away from surface level connections, right? Because you know that there's nothing to be gained there. So you're kind of distancing yourself from those connections that you made in search of something more concrete, something that's real, okay? That's based on true connection, you know, respect and compassion, right? That's where you're moving towards. That's what you're looking for. Okay, so that's going to be very much prominent in your mind over the weekend, I feel. You know, that you're going to be removing yourself from these kinds of connections and actively looking to connect with someone who mirrors that energy, right? The fulfillment, the compassion, the empathy, you know, that's full of love, okay? So what about the Nine of Wands in reverse early next week? Okay. So you've got the Five of Swords in reverse. So yeah, I think you're done running away from your conflicts. You're done running away from the obstacles. You're not looking to fight with anybody, but you're not going to pretend things are something that they're not, right? That you just want to deal with your, you know, whatever baggage you've got in the most amicable way possible. Amicable, sorry, can't speak. Yeah, so you're not willing to fight anyone over it. You're just removing yourself from these circumstances, right? That's what I feel with this. Anything else? Okay, yeah, King of Cups in reverse. So this is definitely the energy you're sitting in at the moment. You have to process your feelings, communicate your feelings, you know, allow yourself to feel them again so that you can do the work, right? Okay, and what about the Five of Pentacles then? Because that's very much tied into that energy. I just feel like an overwhelming sense of loss and feeling alone, you know, like you're longing to feel something, right, with someone. It doesn't even have to be, you know, a full-on relationship, but just a connection of some kind. Okay, and you've got the King of Swords in reverse. So yeah, you feel like in your mind that this isn't rational, that it doesn't make sense. Like this isn't, you know, by feeling like this is not going to get you any closer to where you need to be. But you can't help but feel it anyway, right? That your mind is telling you to do one thing, but your emotions are so overwhelming that it just doesn't even feel like you're able to listen to what it is that your mind's trying to communicate. Because you're just in the thick of it right now, yeah? All of those emotions have just come to the surface. And you're just like, but this is just not helping. Like, what is the point in this? This is why I didn't want to feel this. But you know you have to go through it, right? Okay. Anything else? So you got the Three of Wands in reverse. So yeah, you're just kind of looking over things, looking back on things. And, you know, even though you know that wallowing in nostalgia or, you know, kind of just allowing yourself to fall to apathy is not going to be beneficial, but you can't help but do it a little bit anyway, because you're just feeling this overwhelming sense of being alone and have lost something valuable and, you know, kind of woe is me kind of energy. And you know that's not, you know, that's not the best way to go. You know that. But you can't help but feel that right now because everything is just so on the surface, right? Okay, and what about the Hierophant at the end of the month? You want to clarify with the Hierophant in reverse. So the universe is trying to tell you, why are you refusing to listen to your higher self? Why are you refusing to listen to your intuition? You know what to do. The answer is within you. You've always known it, but you're not listening, right? Remember that High Priestess in reverse here? That's what the universe is telling you. You're not listening to your own wisdom, right? The wisdom of your own spirit. And that's exactly what you need to do. That's what's going to bring you out of this hole, right? So it's going to show you that in some way, either through communication with somebody, some message. There'll be a number of ways in which it can be shown, but it's going to bring something to your awareness so that you really think about that, you know, the answer is within you. You've got the Ten of Cups in reverse. So how are you going to move forward if you're not even having that inner dialogue, right? If you're not even listening to your own wisdom, your own inner knowing? How can you possibly heal if, you know, you're kind of just ignoring what it is that your soul and spirit is telling you to do in order to heal, right? So really tap into that knowing, really just take some time out and connect with yourself. All of those parts of yourself that feel fragmented and compartmentalized, you need to spend some real time bringing the pieces back together. Even if you have to get therapy to help you to do that, then that's fine. That's what it needs to happen, right? And that's why it exists, to help people do that. So whatever it is that's going to help you do that in a positive way, that's what you need to do, okay? Because until you feel like you're the whole again, it's going to be very hard to move forward, right? And that's what the universe is telling you, that the answer is within yourself. You have to bring the pieces back together, right? Because at the moment you're like a jigsaw that's been dismantled, right? So you need to bring the pieces back together. Okay, any last parting advice for you? Yeah. With the Five of Wands, you know, you have the power to do so, but you have to realize that. You have to participate in your own rescue, okay? So you have to really go in and do the work. You have the answers, but it's just down to you whether or not that happens, okay? And you've got the Empress in reverse. And remember, yeah, you've got the Emperor and the Empress in reverse. So you may be that you have to reconcile the two aspects of self, the two divine energies, the masculine and the feminine. Because it may be that both of them took a massive hit during this time with this fragmentation, okay? So it may be that you have to do some divine energy healing work, okay? Because both aspects got quite wounded, I feel. So you're going to have to do some energy cleansing and healing in relation to that also. So that the two aspects of self are, you know, aligned and in sync and harmonizing, okay? Alright, so I hope that was helpful for you, Sagittarius. As I said, it's not going to resonate for everyone. It's a general reading, so just take the parts that did, if any of it did. If it didn't, then of course there's also other readings that you can check out for your sun, moon, and rising, and Venus, depending on obviously where this falls in your chart here. So do let me know your thoughts in the comments if it resonated. Do give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because I've now hit the 100 mark, which was awesome. So I really appreciate everyone that has been supporting so far. It is awesome. So yeah, I hope you found it useful. Have an amazing day, and I look forward to doing your next read.